Hi, I'm Jennifer Iserloh, and welcome to Healthy Cheats, where I teach you how to live the good life, but be healthy too. So today I'm going to show you how to make one of my favorite dishes that I order out when I go to those top Italian restaurants in New York City. It's pasta with broccoli rabe and sausage, but I'm going to show you some easy tips to make it a whole lot lighter. So the first thing we want to do a swap out on is the sausage. Now don't get me wrong, I love pork sausage, but it tends to be very high in fat, the saturated fat, the one that's bad for your heart. So we want to scale way back on that. And I use turkey sausage. Now I've got some red chili flakes here, and this is the way I add the spice to the turkey sausage, because finding Italian turkey sausage with the spice is really hard to locate in local grocery stores. Next, I make this a whole lot lighter by using half and half instead of heavy cream, but I keep the luscious Parmesan in. That gives it that burst of flavor, that gourmet spin, and in terms of calories, it's pretty calorie friendly because you can use less and still get a rich flavor. And all the other ingredients we have here, including our whole wheat pasta and broccoli rabe, are already healthy, so we're set to go. So to begin, you always want to make sure that you have a big pot of boiling water ready to go on the stove while you do your prep. That's going to save you a lot of time and make this recipe come together a lot faster. So while our water's coming to the boil, we're going to cook off this sausage. So when you get turkey sausage in the grocery store, it usually has a casing like this on top, and you want to make sure to remove that casing because it'll be a little tough in the dish. So you can do that ahead of time the night before if you like. And you want to make sure to use a large skillet, and we're going to preheat that because we really want to get that nice sear on the turkey. That adds a lot of extra flavor. I love using turkey because it's super low in fat, but it's just like chicken. It picks up any flavors that you're working with. Next, I have some olive oil here, and I use olive oil instead of butter. Again, we're cutting back on that saturated fat because really you should only be getting about 5 grams per day in saturated fat. And you'll find saturated fat in things like butter, cheese, bacon, anything that's solid at room temperature. So we'll saute this sausage up. Now I have some red chili flakes here, and this is something that's great to always have on hand. This is a way for you to add heat and texture to any dish that you're working with. And when I cook, I like to always add layers of flavor. So I'm putting these ingredients in different points of the cooking process because they're going to taste different as they cook inside the meat. So layering is really important to make a dish taste more complex. So I'll place the chili flakes right on top of the meat because I want to make sure that they don't burn in the oil. And at this point, you can turn the heat down to medium. So you really just want to get that sausage to brown and also break it up as it cooks. Browning is what adds that savory gourmet flavor to dishes. So as the sausage browns, we'll take a look at our greens. And I have some broccoli rabe here. And broccoli rabe really has a little bit more of a bitter flavor, like something like kale, for example, or collards. But these bitter greens are absolutely bursting with nutrition. Things like vitamin A, fiber, you name it. So you want to make sure to combine them with rich flavors, things like sausage, Parmesan, for example, because the richness of these ingredients helps to cut the bitterness. But because you have the rich taste and the bitter taste, it really gives you that contrast that you're always looking for when you're preparing a gourmet style dish. And since I've already cut up the greens, we're just going to throw these right on top. They can cook directly in the olive oil and start to pick up a little bit of flavor from those red chili flakes. So we'll let that cook down for about 2 or 3 minutes so the broccoli rabe wilts, and we'll take a look at our pasta. And I have some fresh whole wheat pasta here. Now whenever possible, try to use fresh pasta. It's going to make this dish worlds above anything you could get out of a box in the dry aisle. And another thing when it comes to whole wheat, of course we're adding a lot of nutrition, minerals, and tons of fiber. Because it's fresh, it's going to be a lot more tender and have that really beautiful gourmet homemade taste, something that you would get in a restaurant. So that's why I went with the fresh. So next we're going to look at salt, and I'm using a kosher salt here. Now, when I learned to cook pasta for my friend Stephanie, who's from Milan, she used to say, always use a fistful of salt because you want to make the pasta water taste like the sea, and that also helps the water to boil quickly. Now, since we're using a lot of water, most of the salt will stay inside the water, and we don't need to worry about racking up the sodium in this dish. Certainly, it will flavor the pasta somewhat, but again, we have a lot of water there. And whenever you're cooking pasta, you want to make sure that you have loads of water. That keeps the pasta nice and separate. And also, skip the olive oil inside the water. I know that's something that a lot of people do, but the oil will actually make the pasta quite gummy. So just be sure that you give it a couple stirs as you're cooking so that it stays nice and separate. So we'll let the pasta cook for about 3 or 4 minutes, and then it'll be ready to drain. So next I'm going to add the pasta to the skillet, but I just want to double check that the sausage is cooked all the way through and it's no longer pink inside. It's perfect. So this is another tip I learned from Italians, is they always add the pasta to the skillet with the sauce. And this is a way to allow the pasta to really absorb those rich flavors in whatever you cooked inside the pan. Also in Italy, they call the sauce the condimento, which means it's more like a condiment. So they don't really drown the pasta in sauce, they lightly flavor the pasta because they really enjoy the texture and the bite of pasta on its own. So now we'll toss that up. Now normally when you look at the restaurant version, they're going to put some heavy cream in here. But I'm using half and half instead, and half is just heavy cream mixed with milk. Still going to give that richness, but cut way back on calories, fat, and saturated fat. Another reason why I like to add some liquid here is because when the sausage browns inside the pan, you get those brown portions that stick to the pan. In French, that's called the fond. And the fond is where a lot of that meaty flavor resides. So you want to make sure that you're getting that off the bottom of the pan and into the pasta. So we have this over medium heat. We're just going to let this cook for a few seconds. And our next step is to add a little bit of that pasta water. And it's great to reserve pasta water because anytime your dish gets dry, it's a great thing to add because it's loaded with starch, and it has a starch in it that helps to make the sauce thick and creamy. So now that most of the liquid has evaporated, we're going to hit this with a little bit of freshly grated Parmesan. And Parmesan, again, is one of those ingredients that no great pasta dish would be without. It's full of minerals, it has a lot of flavor, and because it's so flavorful, you can cut back on the portion size, which means less fat and calories. So last but not least, I'm going to use a little bit more hot chili flake because I really like a little bit of kick in my dishes. And also, it's a good way to add another layer of flavor because we already have some of the chili flakes inside the sausage that we've already cooked. So it's going to taste a little different putting it on raw now. And this is ready to plate. So now you have a pasta dish that any Italiano would be very proud to eat. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Jennifer Iserloh for Healthy Cheats, and I'll see you next time. Hey everyone, if you have a great recipe that you'd like to see me do in a healthier way, just let me know. You can send a video response or ask your questions in the comments below. I can't wait to hear from you.